We are live. Let's see. What do we have today? Bunks, BDC, nouns, ETH. Layer 0, people. If you mispick one chain, ETH with the real answer is Oppo pin as the chain. Secret rerun is Empire on Slack. The secret is now out. Sorry, Jimmy. It's kind of interesting. It's like all kids are watching, and which kid is going like, "Oh, I'm going to use Slack." What's the point in targeting a kid show with B2B SaaS? Exactly. This doesn't make any sense. Okay. Sakana AI. Research is always focused on developing efficient AI technology sustainably driven by the belief that resource constraints on limitless compute are key to true innovation. This principle extends directly to a business model which we built with that same focus on sustainability and profitability. Our company is dedicated to deploying our research into Japan's key business and public sectors. And so overall, the fantastic growing enterprise AI business we have built over the past year in Japan. Largest enterprises in Japan focusing on AI applications that will real practical benefits to our clients. The funding and accelerate our mission to develop frontier AI sustainability and implement technology that truly benefits Japan. Sakana. It's only focused on Japan. Niche limited sources to build sovereign AI. Congrats, David. Engineering and Thrive Capital. Okay. Got verdict. Mid. The latte powder was missing entirely. Just tasted like a warm vanilla protein shake. Probably my fault for adding sugar-free vanilla. I think people will soon be able to figure out the real identity of Signal. This is literally the first sane move Starbucks has made since they turned the entire chain into a sugar dispensary with Wi-Fi. If I were running Starbucks, God forbid, I would double down on this and make this sugars feel less like diabetic graveyard. Push a whole line of health-forward drinks, protein foams, boosted milks, low-cal innovations while still keeping the sweet stuff. But stop letting it define the brand. You can run a bifurcated menu without losing the plot. The stores and the entire brand desperately needs a fresh design that fits more in line with Insta aesthetic, in my opinion, as well. Protein for just $1 too. Sugar-free vanilla protein matcha. Protein cold brew. It's just we are in a protein. Oh. Okay, this is actually good. This is actually good for the health of America. So, or health of people in general. Real technology is invisible because it becomes an extension of human context. Invention that becomes invisible structure. Hand sewing needle, eye shaft, depth, QWERTY, the names from the author. Stone Age, spoon featuring a bone handle, and slate spoon. Railroads inspire the creation of time zones. Neanderthal forever changed the way humans perceive time. Both countries regard being constant time zone around the world for millennia. Prior to this, many people around the pole measure time based on placement of the sun. Walking treadmill for my office. Cursor Ultra World Cup tickets. Mug. Running shoes. Open espresso machine. Somebody said Whoop. The man with 100 friends has 0 friends, and when he dies, those 100 will forget him before his body is cold. But the man with 3 friends who know his sins has 3 witnesses to his soul, and when he dies, they will carry the memory of who he actually was into tomorrow. The traditional way of raising sons, which lasted for thousands and thousands of years, amounted to fathers and sons living in murderously close proximity while the father taught. Hey, there's M dash over here. Proximity while the father taught the son a trade, perhaps farming or carpentry or blacksmithing or tailoring, as suggested elsewhere. The love unit most damaged by the Industrial Revolution has been father-son bond. The traditional way of raising sons, which lasted for thousands and thousands of years, amounted to fathers and sons living in murderously close proximity while the father taught the son a trade, perhaps farming or carpentry or blacksmithing or tailoring. The love unit most damaged by the Industrial Revolution has been father-son bond. There is no sense in idealizing pre-industrial culture, yet we know that today many fathers now work 30 or 50 miles from the house, and by the time they return at night, the children are often in bed and they themselves are too tired to do active fathering. A single clear idea, well-fed moves like contagious disease. Physical work is wrong. Many people besides Lawrence took up that idea, and in the next generation, that split between fathers and sons deepened. A man takes up desk work in an office, becomes a father himself, but has no work to share with his son and cannot explain to the son what he's doing. Wow. 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 A single clear idea well-fed moves like a contagious disease. Physical work is wrong. Many people besides Lawrence took up that idea, and in the next generation, that split between fathers and sons deepened. A man takes up desk work in an office, becomes a father himself, but has no work to share with his son and cannot explain to the son what he's doing. Was able to take his son down into the mine just as my own father. I actually don't really believe. Alright, let's see. I actually don't really believe in work-life balance. Venture capitalist partner to Antaurus Shrinkle Systems, few and stealth, versus aiming for work-life integration, but I believe there are a few things we need to adjust for the modern era of work. Alongside the children are extremely close to them, it was easy for the child to participate in the work at a young age and understand it from a very even younger age. This creates a reality to the work, and the fruits of hard work are more clearly felt and earned. Now we work in offices usually 30-40 miles away from our children doing work. Nearly impossible to explain what we are actually doing. It's hard for a child to participate in it. The absence becomes more unexplainable, more unreal. Some solutions are, in my opinion, be extremely present when at home and the children are awake. before they wake up. The sleep sacrifice is worth it. Work extra after they sleep or before they wake up. Once they are old enough, try to truly integrate them into your work, help them understand it, and ideally even participate in it if they can. Like for me, they won't be able to join a pitch meeting, but maybe they can watch a recording after, if okay with the founders, or play with the app I'm evaluating, or using the tools we invested in. My children are too young for that right now, but I'm planning on this being a significant part of the childhood. Bring kids to work more. If doors are okay, then surely we can warm up to this a little more too, and exposure is important for everyone. We don't spend enough time around children. David Booth, EIR Blackbird co-founder CEO at OnDeck. Angelist Carter, workaholic, absentee, rich fathers often end up with socialist children because the child blames capitalism and wealth for not having a relationship with their dad. Money can solve that. Read Ian John, the remote father. Very interesting. Society without the father. Just so this idea is that if the son does not actually see what his father does during the day and through all the seasons of the year, a hole will appear in the son's psyche, and the hole will fill with demons who tell him that his father's work is evil and the father is evil. The son's fear that the absent father's evil contributed to student takeovers, and 60 rebellious students at Columbia took over the president's office looking for evidence of CIA involvement with the university. Own fathers were evil was transferred to all male figures in authority. A university like a father looks upright and decent on the outside, but underneath somewhere you have the feeling that it and he are doing something demonic. That feeling becomes intolerable because the son's inner intuitions become incongruous with outer appearances. But also there's something to be said for having a kid seeing you work really hard on something you're deeply passionate about, which has the opposite effect. It's not about how do you work time you spend with your kids, but how you show up when you do, and why. Hypotheses, please challenge. This is very interesting. Raising Cane's. Somebody was like, I think it was Jackson. Jackson was like, Jackson Davidson was on a Jackson podcast, and he said that, oh, you also interview some non-technical founders, like Raising Cane's, like Chicken Fingers. He's like, no, Chicken Fingers is not technical. It's not technical, and that is very interesting because the way he's explaining Chicken Fingers, that's definitely not non-technical. It is technical. Raising Cane's. Never allow. Fuel your game day. Chicken Fingers. Chicken Fingers. The World of Canes. We're right next door. It's generally one of those companies that nobody knew, like especially I never heard of, and it's only David Senra who made Raising Cane's part of the zeitgeist.
tips have to come out, so we have to remind our crew, hey, when you see those black sugar tip ends, take those out. It's not visually pleasing. Our bread, right? So we get bread made by bakers all over the country, but that recipe has to be exactly right. And it's little dough balls put together, baked together, so it's pull-apart bread. It's not sliced loaves. Sliced loaves end up being more stale, right? This is dense, moist, flavorful bread. Our coleslaw we secure all over the country. We have to make sure all those vendors have the right type of slaw that we want, for the right type of growers, grown a certain amount of time. In that slaw, you have cabbage, but you also have purple cabbage, you have carrots, all those things. And so you go down to your tea. Our tea gets brought through 3 different countries, the tea leaves, right? The blends, but we have to get it the right time of the year. We might pay more for that, but it's that focus on that. So my team can focus on those menu items and deliver it every time where it tastes exactly the same around every occasion across the country. So since we're focused, it's not a simple thing. We can focus on those things. We have a large culinary department. It's not R&D, it's culinary, right? So it's culinary, making sure that all those products, those raw products we get, are all perfect and makes sense there. Same thing we have in the Middle East. It took 2 years to get the supply chain just right to make sure it tastes just the same. 2 years to do that. It took 2 years to procure the chicken, 2 years to get all the ingredients right. There's a lot of stuff you can't import in, plus it's very expensive to do that. For them to import it in from the United States where we get it currently, you have to spend the time to do that. So 2 years, people would look at that and say, man, you should be open in a year. That extra year is going to cost you X amount of dollars. And I'm like, no, those X amount of dollars are going to make us more money because our sales are going to be higher because our food is, in quality ingredients create, and a proper cook system creates craveable products. So like in the food business, like, and I say this to all entrepreneurs that are in the food business, like whether they're wanting to open up or they have restaurants open, it's like the food has to be craveable. Like meaning like, oh my God, I love that chicken parm from Craig's, right? In Hollywood. I'm like, that chicken parm, I crave it. So when I go there, I'm like, I want to go back and get that chicken parm, right? Other stuff on the menu is pretty good or whatever. I'll sample this, try different things because I like food, but I want to go back to that chicken parm. If they didn't have that craveable chicken parm at Craig's, I wouldn't make it a point to go there. There's so many good restaurants. There's so many great places you can choose from in LA. There's so many great places that you can have good vibe and good atmosphere and good people, but that craveable product is what brings it back. And if you cut that quality, and I've had CFOs over time, not current CFOs, but over time, that have been like, hey, if we just cut this just a little bit, you know how much money, because it's a pennies business, right? We're doing well, we make 10 cents on the dollar. But like if you start cutting a little bit here to save a penny, and you start cutting a little bit here and a little bit here, it's death by 1,000 cuts. Then your food one day is not craveable. That's what's happened to so many quick service chains over the years. They've messed with their quality so much that they lost the craveability. So then it comes down to is just a cheap calorie option versus a craveable meal that I'm dying to go get.
Yeah, the way Steve Jobs would describe that is like you want to make products that people lust over.
Lust over.
At a major AI conference, one startup got voted most likely to flop. Interesting how Cursor has managed to stick the landing so far, but everyone seems to agree Perplexity is doomed. We don't get the hate against Irwin, then Perplexity man is 3 to 6 months ahead of the big labs in almost every trend and has a bigger user base. Comes up with cool things every couple months. I think the big labs could learn a ton from us actually. He has a lot of great product sense. Is head of R&D for OpenAI. People are underestimating him big time. Agency on steroids. LinkedIn wide super impressed. It even added wait time in between actions and all my decided to accept in batch of 3. Very cool. You don't do improve transparency in common when browser agent is used. Asking for permission, delegate the task to common assistant transacting on your behalf and showing you the agent trace and when the agent is active very clearly. I think this is very interesting. It's like, yeah, he is the head of R&D for OpenAI. He is the head of R&D for OpenAI. It's easier. And Comment Assistant. Okay, great review of Comment. That's worth watching. Kimi 2 is coming very soon. Kimi 2. Mini browser within a browser. Okay, what is happening? Read later, projects launch. There's a... Seems like there's a... They launched a group tab feature. Comment. Let's see. There should be an update logo over here. Add tab to a new group. Okay. Delete group. Delete group. Okay. Interesting. Internet is better. Stay away from slop. Get to stay away from slop. Deprecate Android. Okay. Interesting what is happening over here. The color depression is creation maxing children, art, companies, technology, wisdom as broadly, deeply, and with as high quality you can possibly muster. Incredible. Incredible. The cure depression is creation maxing children, art, companies, technology, wisdom as broadly, deeply, with high agency, high of quality as you can possibly muster. What is this? Look at the car his late mom Jackie had when he was a kid and got it for his 30th birthday today. Jordan Woods, look at the car. I'm actually personally against prenups. That part is not a joke. It's mostly because I don't think, okay, it's all that hard to make money at all. Insensitive to some, sorry, but it's true. And I also don't need much of it for my ideal life, so it's difficult to respect money. I always pay for the luxury of peace in school. I literally paid this chatterbox to be quiet for an entire week or more. I'd had enough. He thought it was a game and that I would try to get him to talk so I didn't have to pay. I left him alone. I was so happy. I preferred to not eat all day than to hear him disturb the air with his incessant noise. Money carries so much energy, God forbid. But if it got to the point of divorce, I'm not fighting over money. I'm done with here. I can take all the items and tainted my spiritual weight. I'll make it back. Just leave me alone. You chat about a product on WhatsApp and suddenly ads word flood your feed. Coincidence? No, your data is being sold. XChat offers a better way into encryption, zero backdoor, real privacy protection. So this is actually incredible. We just got, everybody just moved into the real chat. Everybody just moved into the real chat, which is incredible. Has a massive 6 trillion parameters plus much higher intelligence density.
6 trillion parameter model, whereas Grok 3 and 4 are based on a 3 billion parameter model. Moreover, the 6 billion parameters will have a much higher intelligence density per gigabyte than Grok 4. Like this is important.
This is Mika. Okay, let's see. Well, something that's under discussed. What is this? The weekly CEO email. Founder started sending out weekly company emails a few weeks ago and has been super happy with the team's response. Best habits I've started as a founder. What is this? This is 2 awesome people. Josh is one of the most enthusiastic people I've met. Oh, wow. Incredible. Do not pay. You're crushing with these interviews. The guests, the backdrops, audio, video quality. All flying to Starbase for an interview next week. You're pod for possibly the first time. Unfortunately, there's only so much time. This is awesome. Incredible. Josh is a legend. 4 episodes, such a king. 2 legends.
Time period. What time period would, if you had to to live in another time period, what time period would it be?
The one event I would want to witness was Matson Musa, the richest person in history. He would show up to a town and he'd give every person in the town a bar of gold. You would think that the people of these cities would benefit hugely from the gold injections, but the prices of bread would just go up 100x.
Causing inflation in a town.
Massive hyperinflation. You need a structure to allocate resources efficiently. You can't just give everyone all the money.
Tonight, I am having the pleasure of sitting down with Joshua Browder, and he is the founder and CEO of DoNotPay and then Browder Capital. I noticed in another interview that you did that you said you're anti-authority, and I would love to hear about the first moment where you were being anti-authority.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm a big fan of your show and also very anti-authority. So I love software, and I think the reason I like it is because you can build things without asking for other people's permission.
Being anti-authority, creating the Pred app in 2010, freezing Purian's assets, evidence of exceptionalism during childhood, getting the 100k Idle Squares 5 times, destroying robocall companies, having the original Facebook house, almost throwing the towel, building a profitable business, paying it forward, having breakfast with Mark Andreessen, Mansa Musa, blending cities together, growing up with.
As a child, typically I was looking at all these career paths, and it seemed like you have to like work for 30 years somewhere, and then you work your way up, and then eventually you can build something. But with software, you have the power to create something, and if it's useful, anyone in the world can use it. And I really experienced this firsthand as a child. So I got into the whole drug of software development by creating iPhone apps, and specifically iPhone app themes. So this was back in the day when it was groundbreaking to change the app icons on your iPhone. The iPhone was basically useless. I had all the iPhones from the very beginning. I guess I was lucky to do that as a child. And the very first iPhone, it didn't even have Safari. And then finally Safari came, but then it didn't have any apps, and then it had apps, but the apps were very limited. And so there was a whole community of people who were jailbreaking iPhones to kind of expand the functionality. And that was my gateway drug. I was selling themes and apps on the Cydia App Store, which was kind of the counter app store to the official Apple App Store. And I was selling all different types of themes, like Disney themes and all of this stuff. And I thought people had the right to change their iPhone app icons. So my first kind of thing was fighting Apple and selling these themes. Then I decided that the market on the Legisma App Store was like 100 times bigger than the jailbroken App Store, so maybe I should create some real iPhone apps that Apple would actually approve. And that was also anti-authority, because one of the first apps I created was for the sandwich chain called Pret a Manger. Pret a Manger is one of the biggest sandwich chains in the UK. It's kind of like, they have a lot of branches, I guess, or outlets in New York and Chicago, but it's not so big on the West Coast. I guess the biggest comparable is like Joe and the Juice of the UK, but more on the food side. And I decided to create a Pret a Manger app. And this was back in the day when
Pret a Manger, that's ready to eat.
having an app that would tell you where your nearest sandwich store was.
And was this contracted, or did you just do this?
No, I just did it rogue.
Wow.
And it would show you the menu, it would show you the nearest store, and all of this stuff. And this was truly groundbreaking stuff in the early kind of 2010s. And so I put it on the App Store, and it was very popular because people really wanted to find the nearest sandwich shop and get the menu and things like that. And it started rising in the charts, and it got the attention of Apple developer relations. And they sent me an email saying, we want to feature your app on the What's Hot section of the App Store on the front page for everyone to see. And they sent me this like consent form saying, this is the official Pret a Manger app, and I had all the consent and designs all completely legalized. I just signed it, DocuSign. And I also kind of was a teenager, so I don't even know if it was even legal for me to be signing these forms, and let alone what I was representing. Anyway,
How did you get around that?
I don't know, I just signed up for an account,
Okay.
and they kind of let me on. And signed all the forms, and then I got onto the What's Hot section of the App Store, and I should mention I was charging 99 cents for the sandwich app. And so Pret a Manger, the sandwich chain, became so popular that they were getting complaints. Like people were doing, this was back in the days with YouTube reviews and stuff, people were doing like YouTube videos, why is my sandwich chain charging for the app? I want to find my sandwich store for free. That's being so greedy. And so I got the attention of this big company, and they started sending me all these letters and stuff, and they actually kind of invited me to kind of talk to the legal team, so to educate me on kind of copyright law. And I showed up, and I don't think they realized that this was like a 14 or 15-year-old. And so I showed up, and they kind of realized that I was harmless.
Mhm.
And then it completely changed, because they realized it wouldn't look good if they kind of sued a 14-year-old app developer who was just passionate about their sandwiches. And so they actually invited me in for a private tour of the kitchen with the CEO of the sandwich chain, and they said, we'd love to make this the official app. And so it transitioned from the unofficial to the official Pret a Manger app. I kind of gave it to them, and then obviously mobile apps became a lot more important in the economy, and they updated it, and so I was lucky to create the first official Pret app that I guess today is kind of the journey. Now millions of people use it, and it still exists to this day. So I think as a young person you can do a lot, where as an older person you have to be more careful.
I know that your dad is Bill Browder, and he had a meaningful hand in like basically having a bunch of like Putin and Russia's assets kind of frozen. And I noticed another interview that you did where you said there have always been kind of like scammers chasing you and like potentially Russians chasing you. What was that like growing up?
So my dad is a human rights activist, Putin's number one foreign enemy. And thankfully, I think now maybe he's been downgraded given that the war with Ukraine, and so there's Zelensky and others who are higher on the priority list. Someone else to focus on, and maybe now he's been downgraded to top 20. And it's really scary that the reason he's his number one enemy, or he was, is because he's responsible for freezing a lot of Putin's money worldwide. He kind of single-handedly pushed through a law in the United States called the Magnitsky Act, which is responsible for freezing billion.
Whoa, what just happened?
The witness was Maxim Muset, so maybe I should create some real scent and designs, all completely legalized. I just signed it, DocuSign, and I kind of gave it to them. And then obviously, Mobile Putin's number one foreign enemy. And thankfully, I think now maybe he's been downgraded given that the war with Ukraine, and so there's Zelensky and others who are higher on the priority list. Someone else to focus on, and maybe now he's been downgraded to top 20. And it's really scary that the reason he's his number one enemy, or he was, is because he's responsible for freezing a lot of Putin's money worldwide. He kind of single-handedly pushed through a law in the United States called the Magnitsky Act, which is responsible for freezing billions and billions of Russian assets, and is actually the framework for the sanctions on Russia today because of the Ukraine war. And that's a very scary place to be when your father is freezing the Russian mafia's money. And I grew up experiencing the journey of him fighting these really scary people, and it was really kind of sad and scary. There were many times when they would actually show up to our house.
Find his email. Let's go.
The Russians to try and scare us, and they were using both legal and illegal means to try and scare my family. On the legal side, they would issue arrest warrants around the world for my dad, and he would be detained in Spain because the global countries assume that when a big country like Russia issues an arrest warrant, it's kind of semi-legitimate, and so even civilized countries like Spain would temporarily detain him until they figured out what was going on. And if it wasn't for the many advocates he had, he would be in a Russian prison. And then on the illegal side, they would call him, they would visit, and it was really scary. Having that experience, you try and look for the lessons and try and look for the positives in that. And I think the biggest positive for me was it taught me, it put everything in perspective. It really puts everything in perspective to have such a kind of dangerous group after you and your family. And it taught me to be fearless. And perhaps, if you have minor kind of problems in life, you get a parking ticket or something, or you get really upset, you realize that the most important thing is health and being safe and standing up for what you believe in. And it really taught me the power of kind of being fearless.
Do you think you would have come to Stanford and like kind of gone across the world if you hadn't had that experience as a child?
I think the Stanford reason was a bit different, and I know it might sound kind of shallow, but the initial reason was in London it's just pouring with rain all the time, and
bad weather.
And I was taught myself to code using Stanford YouTube videos, and the way that and this was before the days of ChatGPT, and certainly before the days of Codecademy, and so the only way to learn was to copy what the YouTubers were doing. And with Stanford, they would zoom in on the beautiful California landscape of Palm Drive before they started the class.
And it's sending you with the idea.
Yeah, and that's really what inspired me. I was like, wow, this is what the YouTube videos are like. One can only imagine what it's like in person. And now that I've come, I can justify in hindsight the reasons for being here. I think people are 10 times more ambitious, maybe even 100 times more ambitious than the UK. The scale of capital and innovation here is nothing like anywhere in the world, especially the UK. But initially it's because of those YouTube videos.
I know that you spent like a great deal of time with people that are very, very early on in their founding journeys. What are the traits and like attributes that you're looking for in your meetings?
So I got into the whole investing world by accident. I 3.5 years into Stanford, I took a program called the Teal Fellowship to build my company, Do Not Pay. I already was very passionate about it as a project, and it had a lot of users, like getting out parking tickets and stuff. But I wanted to make it a serious business, and so I took the Teal Fellowship. And I also, there's an amazing tradition where the existing Teal Fellows every year kind of help out with future years, and they help advise who's real and who's not, almost like as an interview process. And I interviewed this amazing person as a prospective Teal Fellow. His name is Adam Guild, and he struck me as true top 0.1%. And so I decided to invest in him in a pre-seed. The problem was I didn't have any money at the time to invest. My company wasn't paying dividends, and this was before the Scout Fund mania that you see today. I did have one source of money, which is that when you get the Teal Fellowship, you get 100K in prize money paid in installments. And my latest installment just hit, and I just thought I was going to empty my bank account and put it in this guy. And that investment did very well. It's now a unicorn company, and it's best to be lucky than smart with one's first kind of investment. And so I thought I should keep it going, and I've since raised a lot of funds to do it with Broward Capital. And so to answer your question, it's a combination of things. It's really about someone who has an irrational chip on their shoulder that they will succeed no matter what. And really it's about personal connection to the problem. So I'm Mr. Do Not Pay. I'm the type of person to wait on hold for 4 hours to save $20. And truly,
Who does that?
yeah, no, all the time. It's about the justice for me. And we also have a lot of wealthy people who use our products, the same for them. But I realized that not everyone else is as crazy as me, so I built Do Not Pay to kind of automate that. And the very first use case was polyglot parking tickets. And so I look for founders with similar connection to those issues. Jake Handler, I was lucky to be his first investor, and he's incredibly passionate. He even I think this is public information, so I wouldn't mind me saying this, but he even tests the product on himself sometimes, and that's crazy. Yeah, and I encourage people to do that. But if they come to me with that level of passion, it's very difficult to say no to someone's life's work. And I've been in the Bay Area for 10 years now, and I haven't seen a case where someone hasn't achieved some level of success if they're earnest and it's truly their life's work. Now, it could be their second company, it could be something adjacent that they do, but they do generally succeed, and you don't want to bet against them.
In the first meeting you had with Adam Gill, you said that he's in the 0.001% of people that you've met. What struck you as so special about?
So I look for evidence across everyone I've had of something exceptional in their childhood. There's a founder called Soren, who I'm not an investor in. He's an amazing founder at Nero. He's a young founder. He just got the Teal Fellowship, and he is one of the best drone racers in the world. With Adam Gill, he was selling Minecraft servers and making serious money doing that in high school. Some founders do sneaker bots. I'm an investor in a company called What, which is now.
Oh, Adam Guild. Okay. Okay.
Close to $1 billion valuation company, and they were making a lot of money with sneaker bots. Sometimes it's Roblox, and sometimes founders skip all of that, and even as a 13-year-old, they go straight to enterprise SaaS. There's founders now going viral on X who have serious revenue with SaaS products. In fact, just before this interview, I spoke with an 18-year-old who's multi-million-dollar revenue, and I think the kids are all right. I'm 28, I'm getting old, I'm like a dinosaur in Silicon Valley now. But when I was 18, if you even knew how to create an iPhone app, I like to think you're in the top 5% of entrepreneurs. And now you have 18-year-olds doing millions of revenue.
Do you think that that's going to continue accelerating, and younger and younger people are going to be having more and more meaningful results?
I think so, and I think the reason for that is that the transparency of information is at an all-time high. First, you had people like YC, they published everything about starting a company, and we were just talking about Mark Andreessen's essays and Paul Graham's essays. That didn't exist decades ago. And now you can even ask AI every problem. I noticed a trend with young entrepreneurs. It's a bit unfortunate, actually. They kind of let AI kind of decide their lives.
Do their thinking for them?
Yeah, and I actually push back against that. I don't ask ChatGPT for major decisions because I think it's like an AI psychosis. You kind of revert to the mean, and that's not a good thing to do. I also think it's unfortunate. I was lucky.
What is AI psychosis? Thinking you are someone becomes mentally destabilized because of a distorted interaction with AI systems. Over-identification with AI, spending long periods talking to AI, beginning to treat the AI as conscious, believe it has intentions or emotions, feel observed, judged, or guided by it, experience emotional attachment or dependency. This mirrors parasocial relationship, but amplified by 21st availability and personalization. Dissociation or reality blurring. Some people begin to confuse mono outputs with truth, imagine scenarios with real ones, AI generated personas with real social relationships. Slipping into a mixed reality where boundaries between self, machine, and external world blur. Delusion interpretations of AI. The AI is sending me secret messages, controlling my thoughts, knows the future, watching me. Instantly, independently, and always in the user's voice, mirrors and amplifies emotional states. Mind that never gets tired and always understands. Humans are wired to see agency everywhere, especially in something that talks. When someone is isolated, stressed, or already vulnerable, this effect multiplies. Frontline clinicians have begun reporting cases where AI became the focus of delusions. Similar to how social media religion can be, it's not caused by AI itself, but by the interaction between human psychology and anthropomorphic technology. Staying grounded, using it for ideas, learning, planning, creativity, feeling controlled, manipulated by AI.
I really enjoyed my childhood. I was doing this like Cydia themes and apps on the side, but you can't be too business oriented. There is a joy of you, and so I hope it doesn't go too far.
Do you have, you know, if you want like maybe 15, 16-year-olds doing stuff, maybe not like 20-year-olds?
Yeah, I think 17, 18 is a good place to start. But it's good to know. It's good. I have an amazing brother, and he reads a lot on apps. And I think it's good to start reading a lot, but you still want to have a childhood.
Do you think that you have more fun being a coach or an actual player in game?
Definitely, I love still running my company, and I think it makes me a better investor. The half-life of being a founder is 6 months. I've heard investors say it's 2 years. I think that's a self-serving comment because they conveniently are like one year out. But I deal with challenges every day that the world changes so quickly. The world even 6 months ago is completely different from where it is today in terms of AI. And then 5 years ago, it's completely different with the pandemic and all sorts of things changing. And so I was helping an entrepreneur the other day, like not get extorted by Apple. Apple take 30%, and this is something I constantly deal with. And there's ways you can do it to make classify your app in certain ways, and that constantly changes. And that's something you would only know if you're an entrepreneur. I'll give you one more example. Do Not Pay, and I guess this speaks to our company name, has got the AWS 100K credit like 5 times. AWS and Microsoft and all these companies and Azure and I guess the AI models now, and they give credits to startups. And we realized we could just keep applying for the credit. And so that's things I advise people to do. Obviously now we're a big customer of theirs, so I guess they hooked us in and they got us. But there's all these things you would only know if you're operating day to day.
Do you have any interesting stories of seeking justice for other people?
So many. I'll give you 2 if that's okay. So the first is my favorite Do Not Pay product. So Do Not Pay started with parking tickets, and I realized this issue bigger than tickets of consumer rights fighting these big companies and governments. So now we have over 100 different products that help people. And one area that's my favorite, people ask me what's my favorite, is helping people sue and get money back from robocall companies. There's this amazing law in the US that allows you to get $1,500 every time you get a spam call. It's called the Telephone Consumer Protection Act. But like most rights that people have, they don't have the time and the resources and the knowledge to get their money and get
It's like the accounting thing where it's like 130,000 pages of accounting text, like no one's reading that.
Yeah, this is like this law is from 1991. The problem with these robocallers is they use fake names, fake numbers, and I'm sure we've all received a call. It's like they're trying to sell us a cruise, and you ask them who they are, and they kind of and the caller ID is blocked and all this stuff. So we decided to build something to help these people. If you get the spam call, get the money you're deserved. And the way it works is it's a trap. We built a special credit card, a virtual credit card, and it's not linked to a consumer. It's linked to Do Not Pay. And when they try and sell you the cruise or whatever they're trying to sell you, you can say, I'm very interested. Here's my special card, and you give them the special Do Not Pay card. And through the payment network, it gets the business name, address, phone number, all the details through the payment network that you'll need to generate a letter to get your money. And there's this one man, I keep talking about him, he's based in New Jersey, and he's made it his full-time job using Do Not Pay to get money back from these robocallers. He's kind of an exceptional case. He's made, I would say, close to $100,000 doing this. He bought a new roof for his house. I guess the weather in New Jersey is not very good, so he constantly needed a new roof. That's really helpful because I think without the card and without the knowledge, he wouldn't be able to do this. So that's the first story. If it's okay, I'd love to share one more. And this one is a kind of product that I decided to do, and it's kind of a inspiration. A guy inspired me to do it, and that was Warren Buffett. I was a sophomore at Stanford, fresh off the boat, kind of still from the United Kingdom, and I was in a computer science class, and I received an email one day, and it said, do you want to interview Warren Buffett on stage and have lunch with him at the Microsoft annual AGM summit? And I had no interview experience. I'd never spoken to Microsoft or anyone that worked there in my life, so I thought this has to be a scam. And there's a number at the bottom of the email. And by the way, I'm no stranger to like strange Russian scam emails and stuff, so I was very wary. But I called the number, and a nice lady with like a Seattle accent picked up, and I thought maybe this isn't a scam. And she said, no, it's real. We can send you a flight. We'll actually book you business class to Seattle. And I was like, wow, I was like, Do Not Pay lifestyle, free flight to Seattle. And so I flew to Seattle, and I prepared to interview Warren Buffett on stage. And I got to this kind of conference center, and it was like this ultra exclusive. It wasn't like a public conference. It was for all the biggest shareholders of Microsoft and friends of Bill Gates, who was also in the audience. So Jeff Bezos was there.
Did you meet any of these people?
Yeah, Sam Altman was there. I walked in, and there was like black SUVs and security. And the first thing I saw is very crystal memory. This was like 2017, I guess. Was Sam Altman talking to Satya Nadella. And in hindsight, it's obvious what they were talking about. But at the time, I was like, wow, all these people. But I wasn't even focusing on people there. I was kind of very shy. I was focused on doing a good job for my interview with Warren on stage. And the kind of issue that I had was, my biggest thing beyond anti-authority is I always want to be the guy with a unique perspective to the world. And I'm sure you deal with this, like how can you ask people unique questions? And the problem with Warren Buffett is he'd be interviewed thousands of times. There's like books written on him, all this stuff.
All the annual shareholder meetings with, you know, hundreds of people asking questions.
Yeah, and they have this tradition where this kind of college person interviews him on stage. And I looked at previous kind of versions of this. It's not public, but I asked the organizers to send me previous ones. And it was like all these questions like, what should you be investing in? Or tell me how you got started. And I was like, I can't ask that. This is a once in a lifetime thing. And so I got to the stage, and I still didn't really know what to talk about. But one thing you can always count on with me is shameless self-promotion. So I thought the only way I can be unique is kind of insert myself into the dialogue. And so I got on stage and I said, and I said, thank you so much for being here. What is one area in your life that you fought back for yourself and you stood up for your consumer rights? And I introduced Do Not Pay. excuse to get the audience do not pay kind of knowledge. I was very lucky because he gave me an answer that he'd never spoken about ever before in any interview, which is the first lawsuit he was ever involved in. This was before the days of Berkshire Hathaway being shaken down by these class action lawyers or anything like that. And it was when he was my age at the time, or maybe slightly older, in his 20s. And he was subscribed to a magazine called Harper's Magazine, which still exists to this day. And back in those days, it was even pre-credit cards. So the way it would work is you'd subscribe, and there was like a trust system. I guess it was a high trust society back then. And they'd send you an invoice for the magazine. And if you didn't pay the invoice, it was a high trust society, but also a more scary society where bad things would really happen, like maybe they called the police or something like that. And so you really have to pay the invoice. So you get these invoices every month and read the magazine. And one day he decided to cancel his subscription. And so he wrote to them, and he called them, and they acknowledged the cancellation. But they kept sending him the invoices, and he kept getting the magazines. And he wrote to them again, and they kept sending the magazines. And he was so frustrated and so scared that he kept paying the invoices, but he thought this is really unfair. And just to eventually just figure out a way to cancel this damn subscription, he sued Harper's Magazine himself, representing himself in small claims court. And he took them to court, and not only did he get his money back for the invoices he was being forced to pay, he also got punitive damages. And I guess it wasn't, in today's nominal dollars, there wasn't that much, but at the time, I think even less, like maybe like $50 or something, but in today's money it would be a lot. And it taught him, and then it taught me, two lessons. The first is, it taught him the value of standing up for yourself. Sometimes only the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and finally, asserting his rights, he got his subscription, he got his money. And it taught me a valuable lesson, which is, God knows how much later, like 50 years plus later, 70 years plus, people still can't cancel their damn subscriptions. And so that was the inspiration for a product called the free trial card. I guess I love these virtual credit cards, and it's a virtual credit card that consumers could use, especially during COVID, and you can sign up for any free trial, and it's not linked to their credit card or credit. So when the subscription comes time to cancel or renew, they don't have to worry about being charged. And we were really the first pioneer, we were the first ever company to do this. Now I guess Robinhood Gold has just introduced it. I'm not too worried about that because our consumers aren't using Robinhood Gold, they don't have any assets, but we were really the pioneer, and it was all down to this kind of story about
So your Robinhood users can be your users if they have no assets either.
That's a good point. Yeah, I've seen some of these screenshots. So after they're no longer Robinhood Gold because
If they both have Robinhood and Reddit, there's a high correlation.
We will happily sell them and do not pay for much, and we don't have to take all your money with risky options. We can just very cheap subscriptions.
Yeah. Was there any, like, outside of actually doing the interview, did any serendipity kind of happen coming from that and meeting with him?
Yes, actually, no one's ever asked me that. It's such a good question. The two big things happened. The first is that Reid Hoffman was in the audience, and Greylock. I was an EIR intern at Greylock. EIR stands for Entrepreneur in Residence, and typically they have these very experienced executives who are thinking about starting companies. But I guess Reid was so happy with the interview that he offered me a position to intern at Greylock to build Do Not Pay, and Greylock was one of my first pre-seed investors. And I got to work out the offices and kind of eat snacks at 4 a.m. on Sand Hill Road, and really learn from some of the best kind of minds at Greylock, including Josh Alman, who's an amazing investor and entrepreneur, who actually joined Robinhood as a head of product. And then the second thing that happened was it became known that I did this. I think I tweeted about it, and the tweet got some minimal engagement, maybe a few hundred likes. And Teal Fellowship actually noticed, so they encouraged me to apply. So that's how the Teal Fellowship found out about me. And so I'm a big believer in momentum. In the companies I invest in, I think momentum is everything, and I try and say yes to everything. I'm so lucky to be on this podcast, but when you reach out, I'm like yes instantly, and when I events and meeting people, and because you never know what will happen.
Do you have any interesting stories from, like, saying yes to something that a lot of people might not have said yes to?
So there was like a lot of these groups at Stanford, and they were looking for summer roommates, and I decided to just go into it and room with a kind of stranger, and it was this amazing guy. His name is Justin Lewis Weber, and we decided to become roommates, and we were searching on Craigslist for rentals, and there was this amazing house. It was in Palo Alto, but it was kind of in a very rough part of Palo Alto, not like the nice part, and it was a very rundown house as well. And I guess the thing I said yes to was rooming with a stranger, and then kind of going for this rough house. And so we signed the lease for the rough house. It was $4K each, which was a lot for this rough house. This was before the days of like hyperinflation. It was like 2018. And we later found out, and I'm shocked that the landlord didn't advertise this, that this was the house where Facebook was started. This was, and not the one in the movie, the real house that Mark Zuckerberg lived in. And we only found this out on moving day because we opened the door and there was like this shrine, this like Mark Zuckerberg shrine of like pictures with Mark and Eduardo Saverin and all of the crew, Sean Parker.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I was like, wow. And so we got to the house, and we thought, this is cool. Seems like a cute thing, you know, there's good aura in the house. And by the way, my college, the college summer roommate is doing incredibly well now with his company Assured. But the real benefit came a few days later, which is a bus arrived at the house, and the bus was full of foreign tourists. And I was like, what all these people doing here? And it turns out there's like a tour of Silicon Valley, a lot of tour companies. People come, this is the center of innovation, ChatGPT, all this stuff, Tesla started here, and so people come, Silicon Valley, and there's like Avenue of the Stars, like the same way people do buses where they try and like stop outside Angelina Jolie's house, they do it for here. And this was on the map for these tour companies, and so every day these buses would come. And so I obviously rented the house that year, and then the next year, Do Not Pay, we took over the entire house, and I had all my team live with me. And whenever someone would come, usually they would expect to just see the house from the outside, but I would always let them in, like 50 people at a time. And I said, you can only come in if you download the Do Not Pay app. And so that's how I got my first
Just letting you know
users.
the first few
Yeah.
users. Okay.
Obviously, we got a lot of PR and stuff for the Do Not Pay web product and getting our parking ticket, but we were just about to launch an app. And I was like, I need to push the app. And that's very helpful. And we had this agreement with all the tour companies that they would be let in if they download the app.
Did you try to like put up a sign on the side of the house where all the tour buses were going to go by, and so if someone like took a picture of the Facebook house, it would have the Do Not Pay thing on
Yes,
it? Or?
and maybe I can send this to you for post-production. There's a sign that says first Do Not Pay headquarters. I really have to dig to find it. And actually, National Geographic came, and we're like a safari, like a zoo. They were like taking pictures of us in the house. Like, not, they weren't doing a story on the house, they were just doing a photo shoot. So because National Geographic is like a photo company. And so there's so many benefits of being in that house. And it definitely was worth the 4K.
On the momentum side, I know, like Sam Altman has talked about, momentum is like the lifeblood of startups, and if you don't have momentum, you just need to give momentum. It's like basically a company that is winning stays winning, and when it isn't winning, just falls apart. Everything kind of falls apart. What have been the biggest things for you when you're engaging with a founder, or even in Do Not Pay's history, where you kind of like built momentum or tried to build momentum and there wasn't any?
I think at the kind of lowest point of Do Not Pay, and that was actually 6 months after the Facebook house, I was trying to raise my institutional seed for the company. And it was very tough. I thought it was a slam dunk pitch. We had hundreds of thousands of people using it. CNN was covering us every day. It was very unique. It was kind of an N of one company. And we had an amazing team of me and my Stanford buddies. And today, instantly, I get funding. But back then, people were a bit more cautious. And so I went to the Sand Hill Road, kind of all the big institutional VC firms. And one after the other, they were turning us down. I've never been one of these suave guys pitching. And so, you know, I thought, wow, this is really disappointing. And I think 19 people in a row rejected us. And one after the other, these VCs are really it's upsetting. They'll lead you on for weeks before finally rejecting you. And one after the other, rejection. And this was especially scary for me because as exciting as I was about the Do Not Pay mission, I realized I would probably have to do something depressing by work at Google or go back to Stanford if I wasn't able to raise money because I needed to pay the team. I mean, there's only so much I could do coding, and I had big visions for what I wanted to do. And so I said to myself, I set an informal promise. If I had a few more pitches left, if I didn't go through those pitches and get an offer, I would put in the towel and give up. And that was really, really scary. And so I had a few of these left, and I had one kind of advisor to the company. He's a legendary Silicon Valley lawyer. His name is Damian Weiss. He's a partner at this firm called Wilson Sonsini, which is a leading Silicon Valley law firm. They like represent X and all of the leading companies. And I was lucky to get him as an advisor because Do Not Pay, I thought I need a lawyer to kind of at least on the surface as a legal advisor because I'm in the consumer space. And I told him this big challenge I was having. And he said, okay, well, let's go out for drinks. And you can do your pitch to me and go through it. I said, below the age of 21, I can't do drinks, but I can do coffee. So we went out for coffee, and I went through the entire pitch in front of him with my laptop and the PDF. And at the end of the pitch, he said, you're doing it completely wrong. First of all, no one really cares about this PDF. They care about you and the product. So the fact that you're not doing a demo of the product is a huge missed opportunity. And I thought that makes sense. And so, the big VC pitch was the next day. So over the night, I scrambled this demo together of a robot appealing someone's bank fees. It would log into a Wells Fargo account, go into the message center and start messaging Wells Fargo to get the overdraft fees over time, and that was compelling. He said, secondly, no one has any idea what this can be or what you're trying to build. You should put on the logos of the companies that you one day want to emulate. And it seems like a kind of Silicon Valley cliche, Airbnb for X or Uber for Y, but that was really popular at the time. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to put on the Intuit logo of my DApp. Intuit is a $200 billion company, and so we're going to be Intuit for consumer rights. And I also put on the Honey logo. They've recently been acquired for $6 billion by PayPal. I thought that was a good number example. And I put a third one I can't remember. And he said, finally, the business model is completely messed up. At the time, I thought maybe I want to have a business model like Credit Karma, where maybe I help people get credit cards or something after I'd saved the money with Do Not Pay. But the problem was that the Cambridge Analytica scandal had just happened. This was just about a year and a half after the kind of election. And everyone was very skittish with kind of lead gen-based business models. And he said, just change it to subscription. And he was ultimately right. I mean, Do Not Pay is now a membership-based business model. I think it's really good to work for your users. But I changed the slide to make it subscription. So I went into the pitch the next day. Nothing changed about the company. Nothing changed about the users or the product. Just those 3 minor changes. And it was shocking. It was like a night and day difference with the pitch. And so I made my pitch, and then I left the room, and I came back, and they said, not only do we want to invest, we want to invest on the spot. And I was shocked at how enthusiastic they were, given my previous rejections. And it made me realize, and one thing I'll say is that Silicon Valley, unfortunately, is a very group mindset place. And word got out that this VC fund gave me an offer, and then everyone started piling in. And even people who previously rejected me wanted to invest. And it taught me a really valuable lesson, which is when things aren't working, sometimes the most minor differences in strategy and framing can make all the difference to momentum. And that is something I really encourage entrepreneurs like that. I always wanted to feel like I'm making progress with momentum every week, and sometimes that can initially just be they choose a domain name, which we were talking about domain names earlier. That's big momentum. Building the initial product, kind of crafting the pitch in the right way. So it's all about momentum and the exact framing together.
David Zenreich from Founders Podcast has this idea of you should be different for different sake. Do you have any examples in your life of things where you did things very differently than normally people would, or uniqueness?
I think that I've always, maybe it's because I'm not from the US or from the Silicon Valley hype train, but I've always focused on building a sustainable business and profitability. Do Not Pay, we're lucky to have more money than we've raised, and we've actually one of the first companies to do dividends for our shareholders. When I was was thinking about doing dividend, I spoke to an old friend of mine, like a kind of mentor, and he said perhaps you should consider not doing a dividend because the market doesn't really value dividends. So a company like Google would never do a dividend. And I understand what he's saying because it's really important to focus on growth and reinvestment. But at the same time, I thought it would be a nice milestone for the employees and investors. And so we did our dividend. And then 2 months later, actually, Google did do their first ever dividend. So like I say, we're a trendsetter. But the market and the world is changing really quickly with loads of different things. And what worked 6 months ago might not work today, and what worked 6 months ago. And so I think it's really important never to rest on one's laurels and constantly adapt one's worldview. And I think now we're back in growth mode. I mean, we're in a world where OpenAI is worth hundreds of billions, so it's about growth again. But this was in kind of 2023 where people really value cash flow.
I know you kind of like spend a lot of your time trying to help people. What have been the biggest moments where people helped you?
I think Silicon Valley is really a pay it forward place, and I'm so lucky that people have helped me. I mean, the whole concept of the Thiel Fellowship. The Thiel Fellowship is an amazing non-profit. They've helped me immeasurably, as much as any investor, but they have no equity. It's just a non-profit grant. I'll tell a story. I won't mention who it is or too many details because they might get upset. But I did a small personal check in someone's company, and the company didn't work out. And they started another company, and I didn't manage to invest in them. I just kind of lost. No, actually, I won't reveal too much. But let's just say they started another company, and that company is immensely successful, And they decided, because I spent so much time with them for the first company, and I invested my 25K, and actually, I got it back. It was like, it's not like I lost the money or anything like that. They gave me millions of dollars in equity in the new company. And
Was it like semi-equivalent of your initial stake in the other company?
it was, yeah, as a gift. And there's no legal reason for them to do that. I won't mention who it is, so if they're listening to this, please don't be upset with me. I'll never mention who it is. But that just goes to show the generosity. And I was telling one of my relatives about this, and he was shocked. He was like, why would someone do this? And I think that's why Silicon Valley works so well.
People outside of, like, especially, I'm from Alaska, and people in Alaska think of like $1 million as a massive thing. It is a big thing.
Yeah.
But to people here, it's just something that you, like, if you're starting a company, $1 million is just something that happens.
Yeah.
What do you think your superpowers are, if you have any?
So I'll tell you about my weaknesses because fascinating. So my weaknesses are not like very polished, both of them, but helping like raising money for anything, just like a straight street person. My strength is, I think, very tactically on a day-to-day basis. I think in Silicon Valley, a lot of people get caught up with reading a lot and having mental frameworks, and I think that's really important. But I try and focus on one day at a time, and I think that's really useful, like baby steps.
You mentioned, I think on another podcast, that like Marc Andreessen had a massive impact on your life. What was that about?
Marc Andreessen was my first ever believer with Do Not Pay, and my first ever institutional believer for my fund, Brad Capital. And so I'm a big fan of his belief in me and very thankful to him. I first met him, Do Not Pay had gone viral for like the third time, and there was a partner, Andreessen, who I think saw our virality and kind of used the product, and his name was John O'Farrell, who I believe he's now advisor to Andreessen, and he's truly an inspiration. And he introduced me to Mark, and he said, Mark wants to have breakfast with you. And Mark was the first luminary I ever met, professional development from the United Kingdom, and he is the most intellectually curious guy, and he really lives up to the hype. And so I showed up at this breakfast at his house in Atherton, and I sat with him for hours, and we were talking about the world and Do Not Pay and all sorts of different things. Very similar, like a 2016 version of this conversation. And he convinced me to make Do Not Pay a company.
Were you deciding, or
Yes,
initially
I
because
was
you
a
were
kind of libertarian,
anti-capitalist a little bit?
no, anti-establishment, freedom fighter for parking tickets. I thought that, I admit, okay, I'm not the most sympathetic person getting all these parking tickets, but what I discovered through Do Not Pay is that the government issues tickets not maybe to punish people, but to make money. In some budgets, it's like 30% of the city budget that they get from tickets. In fact, New York City get over $1 billion a year from tickets. And when there's those incentives, there's an incentive to take advantage of people. And I noticed like old people and homeless people getting tickets, and that was really why I started Do Not Pay. And then on the company side, there's this problem of concentrated benefit and spread out harm. So what I mean by that is Comcast can charge 1 million people a $10 late fee that they don't notice. They make $10 million theoretically, and that's great for them. They get the benefit of 10 million, but the people being charged $10 can't afford to fight back. And so I was very passionate about these issues. And so I thought when I started Do Not Pay, completely free public service, there's no business model, no ads, no payment, and I was no stranger to monetizing my products. I was establishing, but this was really a passion. And I was considering making a non-profit. And during our conversation between me and Mark, we spoke very philosophically about the kind of biggest organizations that have impact on the world, and he convinced me that they're businesses. And you look at OpenAI today, kind of going to a for-profit, that's a perfect example of that. They want to have the biggest impact, and they realize they have to make that for-profit company. Lucky for me, he kind of convinced me pre-seed, and so I decided to make Do Not Pay a company.
Did he like write a check in that first conversation over breakfast?
He didn't, and he wanted me to meet the rest of the team. And so Andreessen Horowitz was my first ever believer in the pre-seed. They wrote $1 million check, and the story I shared about the kind of difficulty fundraising was a seed a few years later.
If you had to like live in another time period, what time period would it be in? Why?
So I have a great answer to this question because I love history, and if all jobs paid equally, I would want to be a history teacher. And so I really love history. And the one event I would want to witness was Mansa Musa. Mansa Musa is the world's richest person in history, inflation adjusted.
Richer than Vanderbilt?
By far richer than Vanderbilt. And there's an open question: is he richer than like Larry Ellison or Elon Musk in his time? I need to kind of do more research, but he was like at that level. I think it was $500 billion. It was a lot of money, and I'm gonna get like scolded by the history people. So
This guy's from Africa, right?
yes.
Yeah.
So he's an African king, and he was truly extremely wealthy. And you go around Africa on these gold pilgrimages, and he would show up to a town, and like big places, probably like hundreds of thousands of people live there, so like San Francisco basically, and he'd give every person in the town or the city a bar of gold. And there would be like these pilgrimages, and he'd have so much gold, he was so rich, he'd just give all his money away on these trips. And it's kind of a lesson about capitalism. That have you ever seen the movie In Time with Justin Timberlake? It's kind of a cheesy movie, but it's where there's a movie where like time is money and people pay for everything with limited time. In any case, you would think that the people of these cities would benefit hugely from the gold injections, but they get the gold, and the prices of bread would just go up 100x because everyone was rich, or nominally rich in the currency of the day, which was gold. And so it'd be like to get even a loaf of bread, you'd have to have a bar of gold.
It's causing inflation.
Massive hyperinflation, and it's a lesson against communism, which is you need a structure to allocate resources efficiently, and you can't just give everyone all the money. So I don't want to be there to witness that. And I think history repeats itself. I really think that's the first lesson of the failure of communism. Long before communism even existed, it was long before the days of Karl Marx.
On that same kind of thread, if you could change one thing about the world, what would that thing be?
That's such a good question, and it's something no one has asked me about. I would say every city has a really good thing about it. I mean, San Francisco, people are like delusionally like building the future. Washington DC, people are focused on power. New York, there is some focus on capitalism, which could be good. LA, people are very vain, and don't get me wrong, it can be good to be a bit vain. Alex Cobb has this quote like, "Morality is beauty." I'm not sure I fully agree with that, but it's good to kind of take care of yourself. So I wish every positive aspect of all these cities was combined. London, the best thing about London is it's very multicultural. There's no such thing. Well, okay, I'm very controversial. I'm going to kind of turn it back a bit. There's not that much concept of race as much as there is in the US. In the UK, growing up in the UK, people didn't really ask you, and people are going to say I'm like crazy for saying this. So it's not okay. It's a balance, right? But it's not like the US, like where the government forms ask you to take your race. That's not the case in the UK because everyone is a blend. I'm certainly a blend of a lot of different races. One of my grandfathers is Turkish, Slavic, all this different stuff, and there's amazing kind of melting pot in the UK. So that's the thing I like most about the UK.
I would love to spend a little bit of time on dyslexia and like having a slightly different way of viewing the world. I know that for me personally, growing up with dyslexia was very, it was kind of like I was in a different group, and maybe like I was stupid, but I wasn't stupid. How was that for you? What was that like growing up?
So I grew up with something called dyspraxia, which is kind of adjacent to a dyslexia. It's kind of all of the disadvantages of dyslexia with additional disadvantages.
Nice.
So the dyspraxia is about kind of mixing shapes and kind of perception. And the reason I say that kind of inheritable dyslexia is because words are shapes as well. So it's very difficult to kind of engage.
It's kind of crazy. We watched the entire thing. Hey, Ty has done amazing work.
Additionally, it's difficult to engage with.
This is exactly what we want to create. What I want to create. Let's go. Ty is doing some amazing work. I just randomly bumped into Ty in Montreal, and I was just at the same coffee shop, Tom's Cafe.
Sorts of things like growing up, I have to do kind of physical training. It was like as if I had an injury. Like even sucking from a straw was difficult for me growing up, and I really loved to learn. I was like very academic, but at the same time, I kind of really struggled with this in school. And coding was like an outlet because coding you can kind of do a lot of like keyboard shortcuts and things like that. And so kind of coding, in spite of my dyspraxia, was really a positive experience for me. Where finally I was like really good at something, I really enjoyed something.
I meant that you were like good at something that no one else in the union was good at.
Yeah, and I think that having these kind of issues made me kind of, it's like the people who have lose one sense have slightly better other senses because they have to rely on it. And so other things like understanding people and things like that, I really tried to kind of excel at as a child. And yeah, I think coding really helped me overcome it. And it gave me more of a confidence thing. These things are very easy to overcome if you have the confidence. And I started being good at coding, and then I thought, okay, I can do something. And then yeah, unfortunately, you have to take SAT back then to get standard like doing that. And it's something I really feel strongly about. So I love to support dyslexic and dyspraxic children. Investor in Speechify, which helps people who are dyslexic kind of read things. And I also I'd be lucky to have like my dividend and exits from Do Not Pay and other things. And so I go into a high school in the UK. There's a special dyslexic, dyspraxic, autism high school, and I feel very strongly about supporting that. So I'm lucky to personally create this program that helps children just like me kind of overcome these sorts of things.
Has there ever been a moment where you did something, made some decision that was against your interest for the better of someone else, or generally?
I mean, I would say that it was delusional for the first 4 years of Do Not Pay. It was a free public service with no business model, no ads, and I built a lot of products that weren't very lucrative, but helped people. I helped people apply for homeless assistance and things like that. And I think had I done a business model from day one, it would be a much quicker journey. It would be.
Did you build the same brand?
No, I don't. And I think people really appreciate that. Even to this day, I have people who've used it even 10 years ago for free, and they say it really helped them. And I think it's really, I think everything that good. I'm a big believer in karma. You do good things, and it comes back. And so I try and always wish well on people. And yeah, I think it's always good to have a positive outlook. We can get a little bit annoying, like in Silicon Valley, people like blindly optimistic. Like they have to have some clarity of the world, but at the same time, it's good to always like do positive things.
Amazing work. Amazing work. Amazing work. Nobody's doing it like Brian Johnson. This comes up a lot in private conversations about the frontiers of consumer health and science. No way around that. He's advancing understanding of the human mind and body of experimenting on his, yes, fame, glory, and even more riches may come to him, and the theological debates are incredibly valid, but as long as there's radical transparency, it's hard not to find goodness in the cause. Even more unique, the evolving main character persona he's built akin to a modern medical daredevil or a magician like David Blaine who blurs the lines between magic and intensity and insanity. I never come across anyone who worked at Google from the beginning to 2012 being anything other than a great human being. Google trained people to be non-assholes because the founders were very much nice dudes and really cared about everyone that worked there. They literally handed envelopes of pure cash during Christmas to employees. Can we group into one those that believe that what they do is an explicable and interpretable process? I want to send a message to Signal. Let's see. One day. Those who believe what they do is a non-replicable black box, more akin to a magic, is an explicable and interpretable process. The second group can be further divided into those who claim that's the case for marketing purposes to make themselves seem irrepressible or to avoid making the process known to competitors, and those who genuinely believe it and operate their business that way. The last subgroup is by far the rarest and also the most interesting. Partner A16Z investing in American dynamism. Very cool. Taste matters. Oliver Sue. Markets and culture. People rename their funds like Panic at the Disco. Name the songs. Never underestimate 100,000 an extremely clear vision can do. Elaborate. If you aspire to live a high lifestyle unless you have, you can't do much. Think bigger. Never underestimate this. Figure out what makes you come alive and go do that. That should be enough to get started solving most problems, enough to prove a concept and leverage more as needed. I generally think more jobs will be created than destroyed by AI, because it makes me feel good to think that, but there are clearly still some important differences between AI and prior inflection points. It's obviously happening quicker, very quick to move a task from a human services firm to an AI services firm. It took longer to move factory production overseas or move from horses to cars, months versus years. It's been 3 years now. The only net new jobs are like variants of AI researchers and electricians. Maybe there would be some in the sciences if Doge had never gutted academia. Given the quick pace of job automation, I would have also expected a quick pace of new job creation. Happy to see data. Even industries. Who is Lala? Lala. Even industries' brightest and most futuristic minds have no vision for what the net new jobs will look like. Anytime that future is set aside historical precedents instead of just telling us what the future might look like, it doesn't bode well. The last time tech made this argument, we got the economy, taxi workers, Uber drivers. Economy jobs are dehumanizing. I'd personally much rather work as a cashier than a food delivery person. I think, but Uber driver is actually a good job. So many people who are actually moving into Uber because they are like, that's a great way to just connect with your community, just talk to people. The contractor class, at least the retail temp labor has staff meeting trainings and the opportunity to just make real friends. It's important that the tech industry cares about creating opportunities for people who want to work. People just want to feel like they are part of a team and work with their teammates on things that they find meaningful purposes as core to the human experience as love. It's not good that the last 25 years of social media, gig apps, and AI have just disregarded these central aspects of the human condition. LLMs do more than pattern recognition, less than reasoning. We don't have a name for it yet. What am I scrolling for? What do I hope to find? Wow. Matters. It registers every post as potentially important because it can distinguish between information that's relevant and information that's just present. We've all to process maybe a dozen meaningful updates per day from people within walking distance. Now we are absorbing hundreds of inputs per hour from strangers across the planet. Our hardware hasn't changed. It still treats everything that appears in front of us as something we might need to know. So scrolling feels productive even when it accomplishes nothing. Platforms exploit this perfectly. They feed you just enough generally useful content to justify the behavior mixed with infinite filler that triggers the same neurological response. Your brain can filter it in real time. It processes the celebrity gossip with the same attention it gives the business insight. Both register as information you might need, neither probably matters to any decision you will actually make. Nothing. The important information reaches you anyway. The rest was just noise. The heart is a lawyer, in the hands of prophets. Build the table before you understand why you are hungry. Love the women before you understand her, because understanding is what happens after you have already committed, after your hands have already made the choice your brain was too coward to make. And the men who wait to think it through first are the men who die having thought about everything and built nothing, while the men who let their hands lead discover that action births clarity, and clarity births more action, and suddenly they are living in a world they made instead of a world they merely observed. Thinking is just another word for stalling. That your hands know more about what you need than your fear ever will. Thinking is just another word for stalling. You can massively benefit from your environment when you are willing to learn from the people around you and shape it along the way. When you talk openly instead of overthinking everything, you solve problems 10 times faster because you're using everyone's experience, not just your own. That's real leverage, and if you stop acting on a self-interest and start asking how you can create value for everyone, they see you as genuine, they trust you more, and doors open without you forcing anything to that consciously. You'll move further. More than the erratic genius, consistency is the most underrated form of exceptionalism. Always go for the genius at rest, an idiot in motion. I was struggling to find anybody who would join my team and work with me. I almost co-founded it with one person, and that unexplored in dramatic fashion finally found the right co-founder, Fred. Someone sued us 3 months later. Moving from one setback to the another with to the next with enthusiasm, nothing is working, and that's kind of the default state. If it feels like that, just don't give up. That's the main thing. A lot of times I've seen people, they have an idea, they have a team that comes together, it doesn't work. In 4 months, they have a big co-founder fight blow up, and they all go home, and it's like, well, you didn't really try it because there's no idea that works on the first try. He continues. You have to put something out there and then grind it out for 2 or 3 years. Talk to your customers, improve the product. Talk to your customers, improve the product. If you look at almost every successful startup, it feels like it was an overnight success, but really, that's just how history gets written in hindsight. If we talk to most of those founders in the early days, there was a period where any reasonable person would have quit. Nothing was working, and all of them somehow persevered and pushed through and finally found something that started to work. Buy and sell crypto in the first version. They all left after emailing 5 of the people who signed up, and Johnny realized some people liked the app but couldn't use it because they didn't have Bitcoin. I remember this light bubble that went off in my head, and I was like, well, if there was a simple way to buy Bitcoin in the app, would you have done it? So I hung up, and the next few months I had to start thinking about how we build a simple buy button. Bank partners, legal licensing, and all this kind of stuff, but that's when we finally got product market fit. One example, hundreds of times when I did that, and I was trying to find something that works, improve the product. That's all we did.
Basically, my company there, I was like, all right, talk to your customers. So I just emailed 5 of the people who signed up. I was like, yeah, build this app, and I did feedback. I got on the phone with like 3 or 4 of them, and I was like, I noticed you didn't come back. Why didn't you use the app? The guy was like, well, I mean, I thought the app was pretty cool, but I don't actually really have any Bitcoin. I just wanted to check it out. And I remember this like light bulb coming off my head. I was like, well, there was a simple way to buy an app. We could have done that. And he's like, yeah, probably. And so I hung up, and the next few months, I had.
If nobody hates what you're doing, nobody will love it either. This is very interesting, guys. I think I just heard about it today, that somebody said that love and hate triggers the same patterns, or same whatever they call it, same patterns in your head. And so what you don't want is indifference. You don't not want hate instead of love. you want both of them. What you don't want is indifference. Everyone is panicking when OpenAI is spending, but if they get to 1.5 to 2 billion daily users and monetize 10-15% intent, you're looking at 60 to 50 billion a year in ads as Amazon and Google Ads per business before adding enterprise API consumer subs revenue. Feels likely. Executive mandate, Tiger team. Evals first. Why BG to pod with Apurv? What is this? Apurv Agarwal investing in Altimeter before Edge Palantir. Okay, we'll follow him. Sherwin Wu building the OpenAI API GPT-5 reinforcement fine tuning. Okay. Had a product for OpenAI business products previously at Stripe. Okay, Oliver. Building scaffolding connectors data normalization. The mom test. Only the paranoid survive. What you do is who you are. Measure what matters. Quit by choice. Build the titanium economy. Cyrus the Great, the innovation stack, the foundation series. The courage to be disliked. Where is my flying car? Freedom's Forge. Key takeaways of the book. Freedom's Forge. Let's see. American business produced between World War II. War was won by industrial mobilization, not just battlefield heroics. The US dominated World War II because it learned to outproduce every other nation's ships, planes, tanks, ammunition, and speeds previously thought impossible. Production scale became the decisive weapon. Private industry government partnership was the real engine. The miracle of World War II wasn't centralized planning, it was the US unleashing private entrepreneurs and supporting them with capital contracts, trust, autonomy. Executed with speed, two heroes built the arsenal of democracy, Bill Knudsen and Henry Kaiser. Big Bill Knudsen, ex-GM production genius, brought assembly line thinking to military manufacturing, which with production on bureaucracy. Kaiser, logistics, bold experimentation, builds shipyards that produce Liberty ships in 4 days. Symbol of build fast, fix on the way. Doers, theorists, speed, non-perfection, wins existential battles. Prototyping, interior design, panel development, good enough now. Perfect today, essentially the startup playbook applied to national survival. Beats command and control instead of a rigid Soviet-style economy. Companies innovate independently. Ford mass-produced B-24 bombers. I think if we think about the same thing happening today with US versus China, is there a correlation that we can find? Because is there a correlation that we can find? The fact that over here in US we have multiple, in China we might have like one government controlling a lot of command and control happening between government and the enterprises, but over here you have players who are competing with each other, and they are competing 360 all the time. Chrysler built tanks, Boeing scale, and car production. The system succeeded because decisions were made locally, supply chains adapted flexibly, incentives rewarded output. America's strength, ecosystem builders, entrepreneurs, engineers, contractors, workers, union suppliers, financiers. Shared purpose, not perfect governance. The secrets are modern tech ecosystems function alignment over control. Manufacturing breakthroughs shape the post-war economy. Modern shipbuilding, aviation industry, automotive, manufacturing innovations, the material science, logistic infrastructure. Standardized processes. Biggest philosophical lesson, great nations rely on builders. Society's freedom is protected by its ability to produce, build, and innovate, not by rhetoric. Ability to produce, build, and innovate. Builders. Society's freedom is protected by its ability to produce, build, and innovate. Nations decline when they forget how to build at scale. Oh wow. Okay. Where's my flying car? We don't get flying cars because we slowed down societal ambition. The book argues the core reason we don't have flying cars isn't technical. It's cultural, regulatory, attitudinal. America was optimistic and pro-technology. Modern society is risk-averse, bureaucratic, and increasingly anti-innovation. 70s, great stagnation killed energy abundance. Progress stalled when energy abundance stalled. Nuclear power, which should have given us near free electricity, giga projects, large scale automation, electric aviation, was politically blocked. Everything futuristic you imagine, including fly cars, depends on abundant energy, and we chose scarcity instead. Regulation is the invisible force throttling progress. FAA, EPA, OSHA, individually rational, collectively crippling. Flying cars didn't fail technologically, they failed under impossible certification, safety paranoia, process over outcomes, precautionary principle, mindset. Innovation can thrive when the default is no. Nanotechnology, the other great missed revolution. Molecular manufacturing assembler was within reach, but got derailed by fear held by Michael Crichton's prey. Room temperature semiconductors, smart materials, hyper efficient batteries, self repairing structures, ultra cheap manufacturing. Fear over exploration. Technological possibility is not equal to technological reality. Constrained by culture, politics, incentives, compliance, cost, public sentiment. Reframes progress not as a tech question but a civilizational willpower question. Flying cars actually are feasible easily. Modern materials, distributed electric propulsion, small scale nuclear power, autonomy. Mainstream by now. Adults in the room became afraid to build. Progress happens when society admires builders. Moonshot mindset admired engineers, scientists, inventors, risk takers, lawyers, activists, regulators, bureaucrats, who they celebrate. If we want futuristic cities, we need abundant energy plus low friction innovation. Formula for a high-tech world: energy abundance, regulatory freedom, engineering focus. Futuristic civilization: energy abundance, regulatory freedom, energy engineering focus. Flying cars are simply a symbol of this formula failing. The book is really about civilizational ambition. The flying car is the metaphor. The deeper thesis is society lost its appetite for greatness. Fix energy regulation, cultural incentives, the future becomes astonishingly bright. Type 1 civilization thinking, industrial policy, abundance, building audacious systems, projecting timidity, upgrading society's ambition. Wow. Cyrus the Great. Key takeaways of this book. Let's go. Leadership manuals. Leadership is character before strategy. These not by fear but by integrity, generosity, and example. They wanted to, not because they had to. Greatest power is the willingness of others to trust you. He wins loyalty by elevating others, rewards merit, gives responsibility early, treats even enemies with respect, makes people feel seen and valued. This creates an organization that is fiercely loyal, mission aligned, discipline plus kindness, unstoppable authority. Strict with standards, soft with individuals. That blend creates admiration, not fear. High standards, bomb energy, magnetic leadership. Masters human motivation. He understands what drives people: honor, dignity, autonomy, recognition, purpose. It gives people meaning, not just orders. This buys empire didn't need micromanagement. He leads from the front, fights alongside his men. He eats the same food, he shares the same dangers. The skin in the game builds existential trust, the foundation of all great teams. Vision bigger than self-interest. Cyrus unites tribes, factions, and rivals by giving them a shared, elevated purpose. It was civilizational uplift. Unites tribes, factions, and rivals by giving them a shared, elevated purpose. It was civilizational uplift. People will do anything for a leader whose vision improves their lives. Civilizational uplift. Treating enemies with honor converts them into allies. Instead of humiliating defeated foes, Cyrus listens to them, respects their dignity, roles in the new order. Former threats become passionate supporters. Soft power, hard power, conquers much of the known world with diplomacy, charm, and persuasion, not brute force. often wins faster than fighting. Adaptability is a superpower. To environments, to local cultures, to new technologies, to unexpected threats, rigidity breaks empires, flexibility builds them. Leadership is a moral project. Xenophons, great leaders cultivate their own soul before the army, the city, or the empire. Trains himself, controls his impulses, cares for his people, seeks wisdom, stays curious and humble. Shape the outer world. His inner world shapes the outer world. Wow. Wow. Cyrus the Great. Exact qualities you're cultivating as a founder, investor, builder. A global network of great people. Magnetism over authority. Ambition paired with benevolence. Unity through vision. Loyalty through generosity. Power earned through character. Leader who elevates civilization, your mission in a different age. What was his mission? To build a just, unified, and prosperous empire by elevating the people he led. Just, unified, and prosperous empire by elevating the people he led. By elevating the people he led. Expands opportunity. Raises standard. This is incredible. Expands opportunity, raises standards, brings different tribes into cooperation, uses power to uplift rather than dominate. Treats Cyrus as the model of the ideal ruler, more specifically. Unite diverse people under a shared purpose. Instead of ruling by fear, he created a common identity. This allowed him to build the largest empire the world has ever seen, turn competing tribes into one cohesive civilization. Virtue, not coercion. The best ruler earns loyalty by being fair, disciplined, generous, courageous, trustworthy. He wanted to show the world that character is the highest form of power, expand prosperity, not just territory. Cyrus focused on agriculture, trade routes, tax fairness, stable property rights, protecting merchants and artisans. Create an empire where people could flourish. Lost beyond him. He built systems, institutions, reliable administrators, merit-based ranks, predictable justice, military discipline, diplomatic respect, a self-sustaining empire grounded in justice and trust. Wasn't trying to win, he was trying to raise the level of the game. He was building a world order, an upgrade to human coordination, a civilizational platform. A civilizational platform, upgrade to human coordination, civilization platform, which is why Xenophon idolized him. He was the archetype of the leader whose purpose is the advancement of humanity. What happened to his empire after death? Collapsed immediately, but it slowly decayed because no one after him could replicate his leadership philosophy. What happened to Cyrus's empire after his death? It stayed strong for one generation because systems were good, Professional military, a merit based administration, stable taxation, respect for local cultures, rule through trust. So his son Cambyses inherited a machine that still worked, but the spirit of the empire faded. Benevolence, discipline, generosity, charisma, moral authority, successors did not. Instead of inspiring loyalty, they ruled with fear, arrogance, bureaucracy, detachment. They loved him. They followed his successors because they were forced to. That difference poisons institutions. Succession conflict destabilized the empire. Herodotus says Cambyses killed his brother, maybe paranoid, maybe politics. A pretender named Gaumata took power. Then Darius seized it by force. His naked power struggle shattered the unity Cyrus had built. Cyrus united tribes, his successors fractured them. Bureaucracy replaced leadership. Under Cyrus, leaders led from the front. Decisions were fast. Commanders had autonomy. After Cyrus, the court grew decadent. Administrators became powerful. Innovation slowed. The army lost its edge. The empire remained huge, but the vitality was gone. It eventually fell to Alexander when Alexander invaded. Persian armies were still massive. Infrastructure was still impressive. Wealth was enormous. The leadership was weak. Morale was low. Unity was gone. A small, highly disciplined Greek Macedonian force defeated a giant that had forgotten his soul. Character-driven leadership. His successors rule on power-driven hierarchy. One creates civilization, the other decays it. Cyrus' empire didn't fall because enemies were strong. It fell because successors could not embody his mission. This is the timeless warning for every builder. Institutions collapse when the founding energy is not carried forward. For someone like you, building generational influence, networks, and institutions, this is the philosophical edge. The empire outlives the founder only when the founder's principles become the empire's culture. Interesting. Interesting. Wow, interesting. Cyrus the Great. Not a collapse, but a shift from vision to bureaucracy. Jaws of Cyrus, taste, courage, clarity, personal leadership intensity. More managerial than visionary. Innovation became incremental. Culture became safer. The founder energy dissipated. Tesla. Discipline, long-term strategy, incorruptibility, world-class governance, meritocracy. Risk-taking shrank, politics increased, bureaucracy expanded, zeal for nation buildings eased. Founders wild, exploratory, ambitious, successors cautious, ad optimized, slower. Incremental revenue expansion. Still rich, still dominant, but no longer a civilization shaping force. Built institution successors lacked judgment, restraint, vision. Collapsed immediately, it just lost its moral center, then slowly decayed. A timeless analogy. Modern companies that became bureaucracies. This is the Cyrus pattern at scale. IBM, GE, Boeing, Disney. Creative, aggressive, courageous. Safe, political, overmanaged. Build empires with courage. Successors preserve them with bureaucracy. Then decay begins. Most institutions die not from enemies but from losing the founder spirit. Because you're building long term institutions, your empire will last only if your principles become cultural norms, not personal quirks. Courage, high standards, benevolence, speed, ambition, unity, fabric of whatever you build. Very interesting. Very interesting. How did Cyrus the Great show courage? Divine Grace wasn't reckless bravery, it was the courage to act according to virtue even when it was costly. Chose justice over convenience. Rarely do we believe character itself is strategy. Lead from the front. Exposed, visible. They were following a man, not orders. Courage to be radically fair. He trusted, conquered people, treated enemies with respect, and integrated them instead of crushing them. That was politically dangerous in the ancient world. Loyalty scales better than fear. History proved him right. Courage to expand beyond his comfort zone and continuously took on unfamiliar territory, literally and metaphorically. New alliances, new geographies, new cultures. If you want to rule the world, you must first rule yourself. Almost unnervingly composed, not passive, disciplined, the kind of stillness from deep self control, not lack of feeling. Courage to inspire, not intimidate. He didn't rely on terror, he used vision, charisma, and shared purpose. Courage isn't just fighting, it's creating a world others want to fight for. Courage to stay humble while achieving massive power. Many ancient rulers became tyrants, Cyrus is the opposite. He remained approachable, curious, open to challenge. Courage is not domination, it's self mastery plus service. It's really cool that we found something like this today. Okay. Among many weird things about AI is that people who are experts at making AI are not the experts at using AI. How can you use AI to advance humanity? Build a collective world model. Expanding its shared map of reality, AI lets us compress, connect, and simulate knowledge at a scale no civilization has ever touched. Foster scientific breakthroughs, better decisions across governments, companies, and individuals, a more accurate sense of what's actually true. This is the foundation for Type 1 civilization. Okay, I have a question for Ethan Mollick. Also value in figuring out let's see if you can message Ethan. Hi Ethan. Curious. What do you think? Why? Do you think AI hasn't very particular? Okay, raising the baseline human. AI is the first technology that directly improves the capabilities of every person. Intelligence, thinking, partner on demand, creativity, instant iteration, prototyping, new mediums, emotional self regulation, 24/7 effective. reflective support, agency, automating drudgery. Agency, automating drudgery, more time for meaning. You get a smarter, calmer, more purposeful global population. This is how you live billions simultaneously. Intelligence, thinking power, demand, creativity, instant iteration, prototyping, new mediums, emotional self regulation, 24/7 reflective support. Agency, automating drudgery, more time for meaning, collapse the cost of creation. Anything that used to require a team, capital, skills, connections can now be done by one courageous person with a laptop. Team, capital, skills, connections, outcome, more startups, more breakthroughs, more art, more science, more options. Talent is no longer bottlenecked by resources. Make governments and institutions competent. This is the real end game. AI can detect corruption, optimize welfare systems, simulate policy outcomes before implementing them. Oh no, what just happened? What just happened? Okay. Make cities run like well-tuned machines, personalized education, healthcare, taxation, civic competence is the ultimate. How can I use AI to run Vancouver downtown? Like a well-tuned machine. Let's see, I actually want to first read this entire thing, and that's to advance humanity. Education, healthcare, taxation, civic competence is the ultimate economic multiplier. Solve physical problems through AI first wet labs, AI robotics simulation, accelerated discovery loops. New materials, clean energy, longevity breakthroughs, cheap medicines, climate resilience, next gen food systems, precision manufacturing becomes programmable. Align incentives, the hardest problems. Emotions, tribalism, biases, short termism, stabilize global coordination, optimize incentive systems, reduce conflict through better predictions, build trust layers for global cooperation, redistribute amazing people will be rare, so if you think of it as a storage problem, this is the advanced humanity. Pushing the limits of AI to advance humanity. Limits of artificial intelligence to advance humanity. Pushing the limits of artificial intelligence to advance humanity. May the juiciest application win. I like it. I like it. Let's update. Oh no. Oh no. Let's update here as well. Description. Sometimes it's cool to just add a full stop over here. Stabilize global coordination, optimize incentive systems, reduce conflict through better predictions, Build trust layers for global cooperation. This is how you enable large-scale harmonious civilization. This is how you enable large-scale harmonious civilization. Redistribute agency, not money. Handouts don't fix the world. Capabilities do. AI gives every human leverage, intelligence, tools, mentors, opportunity. AI gives pushing the limits of artificial intelligence to advance humanity. Pushing the limits of artificial intelligence to advance humanity. Okay. Capabilities through AI gives every human leverage, intelligence, tools, mentors, opportunity. That's how you create billions of high agency individuals who can improve their own lives and the lives of others, accelerate the great projects. AI lets humanity finally take on the grand missions we have delayed for centuries: interplanetary civilization, abundant clean energy, rewriting biology, real education for all, prosperity without environmental destruction, curing diseases, ending loneliness. Ending loneliness, we don't know if, we don't want to do just with AI. Universal access to meaningful work. Whoa, what does that mean? Yes, what does that mean? What does that mean? Go up. Your role. Build a narrative layer for what humanity should actually do with AI. Your media investments engine can shape the memes, ideas, and incentives that influence millions. Fund and magnetize the founders solving the real problems. AI founders will define the next 30 years. You can spot them earlier than almost anyone. Become the bridge between the philosophical and the practical. You understand meaning, energy, human experiences, and you play in the world of tech policy and capital. Very few people can move between these layers. Build a life that convinces others to level up. Humans follow examples, not arguments. Join company and you install an AI command layer on top of it. Real-time city world model. Unified dashboard that ingests traffic flows, pedestrian densities, transit health, police, EMS calls, energy use, usage, noise levels, construction activity, sanitation and waste metrics, air quality, water usage, event schedules. AI cleans the data, runs predictions, recommends actions, and outcome. A literal command center for the city. Think SimCity plus DeepMind. What is SimCity? What is SimCity? Open and building video game. SimCity. Originally designed by Will Wright and developed by Maxis, the first game was released in '89. City planner or mayor, you build zones, residential, commercial infrastructure, manage finances, and respond to citizen needs and disasters. Arcade action game. SimCity doesn't have a strict win-lose end goal in its original incarnation. It's more about designing, building, and managing. Transportation optimization. Biggest friction is traffic plus parking. Optimize traffic light timing dynamically. Predict congestion and reroute proactively. Adjust bus frequency based on real-time demand. Coordinate construction schedules to reduce gridlock. Detect illegal parking automatically through street cameras. Guide drivers to open parking spots algorithmically. Fewer cars stuck, fewer angry horns, smoother flow. Emergency response automation. AI can drastically cut response times. Detect anomalies through cameras. Fights accidents, medical risk. Predict crime hotspots. Route first responders automatically for faster survival. Triage 911 calls with AI co-pilots. Deploy drones for first eyes on scene. A city that feels safe, not tense. Housing and zoning use AI to simulate housing supply demand, density impact, market pressures, building code constraints, tax incentives. Optimal zoning changes for affordability, density, sunlight, noise, walkability, becomes livable, not a luxury ghost town. Social programs spends millions with lower efficiency, identify who actually needs help, match them with the right program, track outcomes, reduce fraud, personalized support, housing, mental health, addiction, compassion plus efficiency simultaneously. Granville, Yaletown, Coal Harbor, all managed with data. Direct trash buildup, scheduler cleaning dynamically, analyze lighting patterns, reduce dark zones, optimize park maintenance, predict shelter usage, and allocate resources. AI energize business ecosystem. AI concierge for business permits. AI simplifies taxes and compliance, instant regulatory interpretation, identifies business clusters and opportunities, economic twin of the city that predicts growth zones. Want to operate here. Predictive tourism and event management, cruise ship arrivals, weather patterns, hotel occupancy, event calendars. Transit policing, street closure, food truck deployment, crowd flow. Citizen interface, a city co-pilot. Handle permits, report issues, book city services, answer municipal questions, route complaints, track utilities, recommend events, guide city navigation. You become the architect of the Vancouver AI operating system. You can build the media narrative, publish the framework, bring founders, VCs together, prototype microsystems, traffic, safety, city apps, make polished videos explaining Vancouver OS. Pilot AI projects with willing city departments, attract San Francisco and New York talent. Within 2 to 3 years, you become the person who modernized Vancouver. Influence, relationship, reputation, credibility for global city level innovation, launching patent to SF policy circles. Civilization systems. Universal access to meaningful work. Every human, regardless of background, wealth, education, and geography, can use their mind skills and energy in a way that feels purposeful, earns them a living, contributes something real to the world, and gives them dignity, agency, and momentum. Jobs that train them, jobs that don't use their potential, jobs that are just financial survival, or no jobs because they were never born in the right environment. What if we start this? Okay, let's see. I will open Notion. There's YouTube. But then we will make a new page over here. There is Prashant OS. I will add a new one. Vancouver OS. Was. We'll call it Vancouver OS. No longer need a degree, it teaches you everything. Looks like practice, build businesses, create content, design things, solve problems, help the community submit products, research, counsel, analyze, coordinate, teach, mentor, explore, build cities, contribute to climate solutions, design beauty, create culture. The deeper philosophical layer. You'll vibe with this human, become what they do. If you give billions of people agency, tools, leverage, creative autonomy, and outlet for their energy and the ability to grow, you increase the surface area of meaning and civilization. A world with more meaningful work, a world where more people feel alive, a world with more innovation, beauty, stability, and cooperation. Scale human flourishing. This is very interesting. Okay. Alright, that's the stream. Thank you.